All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar. Tonight, we're going to take a tour of the Stockscores website, the tools, and also the tools that I've developed for Tradestation. So to give you a quick breakdown, Stockscores is primarily meant for investors and perhaps swing traders. And Tradestation is a program that I have nothing to do with, but I've written my own indicators for Tradestation. And those are meant more for day traders and swing traders. And so I think one of the intimidating things when people come into the world of trading and investing is it's a little bit overwhelming. What are all the things that you have to know? And tonight I'm going to try to answer some of those things from a tools perspective. I'm also going to give you a tour of the Stockscores Education Center. So for those that want to learn how to invest their own money, how to day trade, how to swing trade, that's an area that I will show you as well. All right, so we won't go as long as the typical webinar that I run, but give you a quick overview about that. All right, so here's the itinerary. I'll tell you a little bit about my background in teaching and why you should get educated. Show you the Stockscores tools, give you a tour of the Stockscores Education Center. I'll touch on Tradestation as well in there. And then we'll talk about the different course options that we offer at Stockscores if you have an interest in learning how to do what I've been doing for 30 years, and then how to register. And I'll give you some comments that people have emailed to me recently. So my background in teaching and trading. I started teaching how to trade about 20 years ago. I've been trading since, late 80s, so probably 32 years maybe let's say 1990, I started trading. When I started trading, I was using some money I borrowed from my credit card. Don't do that. And fairly good at it in the early years. Focused mostly on penny stocks because I didn't have a lot of capital. And then built it up. And as I talked about, I think in the last webinar, at some point I turned $30,000 into $500,000. And then I built the Stockscores website to create some tools because the tools that I needed weren't out there somewhere else. And I'll show you those tools in a little bit. And along the way, I found this program called Tradestation and developed my own indicators for Tradestation. My attitude is sort of, if you do what everyone else is doing, you're going to get what everyone else gets. And so I wanted to create my own tools, my own indicators, algorithms, processes, because it gave me an edge in the market. And that's one of the things that you need. It's a game. You're competing against thousands, millions of other people. And if you don't have an edge, then you are really just part of the crowd. So I always want to be a step ahead of a large group of people who I can ultimately sell to at some higher price. So that's a little bit about how I think about the market. So who do I teach? I've been, as I said, teaching for over 20 years. Primarily, I teach individual traders, individual investors. I've had a long history of that. When I was just sort of in my last few years of university, I was part of a club in the city I lived in at the time called Calgary in Alberta, Canada. And I would do these monthly presentations to 200 or 300 investors, a lot of people in the oil and gas industry. And I would give my stock picks and explain sort of my approach to the market to that large group. And that became then a website called Orex Market Masters. And that website was focused on, again, tools for finding opportunity, tools that most people didn't have. And then eventually I started Stockscores.com in, say, around 2000 and built that, again, mostly to scratch my own itch because I had this approach that was unique and most people didn't do that kind of a thing. And therefore the tools that I needed didn't exist. So I had to create my own tools. Well, creating tools on a website is very expensive. I think it cost maybe $250,000 to build the first version of Stockscores. And then there's data costs. If you want to get real-time data from exchanges, if you want to get delayed data from exchanges and distribute that to a lot of people, it's thousands of dollars every month. So I had to make a business around it because I wanted the tools myself, So I had to create a business around it. And I enjoy it. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy helping other people do what I do. I love the market. I do it as my hobby, even though it's also how I make my living. It's what I love to do. And I want other people to do it. So I teach young people that are just in university or even younger. I have a student right now who's in grade 10. I think he's in grade 10. Yeah, grade 10. And then I have students who are in their 80s. Anyone can learn how to do this. You just have to have the desire, and that comes from enjoying the market. And I'm going to give you sort of some sense of how I approach the market because it's accessible to everyone. You don't have to have a business degree. You don't have to have a math degree. You have to understand some pretty basic things. I sometimes joke that all you need to do is be able to draw a straight line with a ruler, and then you can start to see these patterns and that sort of thing. And of course, I've talked about some of my method in the previous 3 webinars. And of course, if you're watching this as a video now, or if you want to go to YouTube, you can see my other webinars that I've done this past week. And it's all free content, lots of good things there to learn. So I said, who do I teach? I said, mostly retail investors. However, brokerages have also hired me to train their staff. You know, brokerages have to, or brokers have to do a certain amount of training every year to keep their skill levels up. And most brokers don't know much about how to pick stocks. That's not really what brokers do. Brokers mostly facilitate buying and selling from their clients. And so I was hired by a few different firms to come in and teach their staff. And I also was hired by a couple of large Canadian banks to train their clients. So a long time ago, I traveled across the country teaching all the clients for one of the largest banks in Canada. And then I did a partnership with I think the 6th largest financial institution in Canada to train their clients. And because the brokerage viewed it as a good investment, if their clients can do better in the market, then they're better clients and they make more money for the broker. So it makes a lot of sense. So I guess I tell you this because I've passed the scrutiny of very high-level people in the financial industry. I've even had institutional traders hire me to teach them what I do. There was one guy who managed $300 or $400 million for a large pension fund in Canada. And there's actually 2 guys within that pension fund that hired me to sit with them and just walk them through how I do things. Because again, when you're managing that kind of money, any little edge you can have is going to be helpful. So again, I'm not telling you any of this to impress anyone, but rather to impress upon you that what I do is real. It passes the scrutiny, and you know, you don't just get to train the clients of a large brokerage without a lot of due diligence being done by the broker on you. So when I teach you this stuff tonight, when I show you these tools, they're not normal things that you'll find just anywhere, and they're things that the financial industry took a serious investment in. Okay, so why should you get educated? Stock trading and investing is simple, but it's not easy. The market will teach you what you need to know, but it's expensive. It takes a long time. It took me 8 years to be decent at trading. I was a university student in business school. I started out buying stocks on tips, and then I tried to apply what I was learning in business school. That didn't work. And I slowly started to learn and identify ways to, you know, find hot stocks to buy and know when to sell them and that sort of thing. And I've talked about this in the previous webinar, so I won't touch on the method too much tonight, but just a little bit of background. That's what I did, and I'll tell you that it took, like I say, 8 years, a lot of expensive lessons, a lot of mistakes, a lot of emotional ups and downs. And so when I teach people, what I'm trying to do is save them that process. It shouldn't take you 8 years. When I learned how to trade the stock market, there wasn't people like me teaching. There weren't very many books about the stock market. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 books, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. How to Profit in Bull and Bear Markets by, I think, Stan Weinstein. And maybe there's one other one. There wasn't many books on the market. There certainly wasn't people that would teach what they do. And so I had to figure it out myself. And I'm glad I did. I learned it well, and I have something now that I can share with other people. But it took a long time and was quite expensive. The other reason why I think it's helpful to get educated from someone that knows what they're doing is because a big part of trading effectively is having confidence. And if you have someone that can look at your trades and say, okay, you did this wrong, you did this right, here's why it's wrong, here's why it's right, you're not, in the dark. You've got someone who can guide you through the process. And I'm not the only person out there teaching. There's other good teachers. There's a lot of bad ones. But I'm sure there's people that have good education, and so I don't want to say that I'm the only one, but I'm good at what I do. I'm good at understanding the markets. I'm good at conveying that to other people. And so I think that's why I've been able to run that side of my career, that the education side, for so long. There's so many companies I've seen over the years come and go. Some really big companies like Wise Trade and these blue and green and red lights and all kinds of things. Those companies come in, they take a lot of people's money because they have a product that looks really cool and seems great, but it doesn't actually work very well. And then they get sued and they go out of business, and the owners go live in Monaco with millions of dollars. That's not my approach. My trading business is small. I teach 100 people a year, and that allows me to support people through the learning process to help them find success. I take a lot of joy when someone says, hey, I was able to retire early, or I was able to leave my lousy job that I hated, and now I trade at home and I can travel and do all the things that freedom allows from trading. It's a great time to be a trader. The volatility in the market increased a lot after the COVID crash. The stock market was great for trading in the 90s, well, the 80s too. And then in the 2000s, after the tech bubble burst, trading kind of quieted down. It was still okay, but it got harder and harder in like the 2012, 2013, because the computerized trading from high frequency traders and that sort of thing took a lot of the volatility out of the market, and also exchange traded funds took a lot of the volatility out of the market. And so it became less fun, I guess. And then along comes COVID, and you think, oh, this is the worst thing ever for the market. And the market really crashed terribly for a couple of months when the pandemic first hit. And, I kind of wondered, gosh, am I ever going to be able to trade the market again? This is so brutal. But out of the COVID crash, we had one of the great markets of my trading career. Certainly the late 90s were great with the tech bubble. And then the COVID crash was fantastic, the move out of that. And it's still, because millions of new traders came into the market with the COVID crash, it's still a good time to be a trader. Because you have more volatility, you have much more liquidity, many more stocks that move. And so it's not as good as it was 2 years ago, because 2 years ago we just had this crazy market, but it's still, every day there's good opportunities, and it's a lot of fun. So if you want to succeed in the market, what do you need for? Well, you need to know what to look for. You need a strategy, you need some rules for when to buy, when to sell, how to manage risk. All of the things that I've talked about in the last 2 webinars. And that's where the Stockscores Education Center comes in. And then you need tools, because you got to find these things before most people do. And so that's where the Stockscores tools come in, and Tradestation, and a service we have called Active Live, which I will touch on all of those things tonight. You need support as you go through the process, because again, confidence is a big part of this. So you want to have someone to ask for advice, to consult with. I wish I had had that, because, you know, a lot of the times I was doing things right, but, you know, you get a couple losses in a row, or maybe you're going through a week, couple of weeks in the market, and you think that then you're doing things wrong. You start chasing your tail. You start making changes. But you had it right all the time. And I think sometimes it's helpful just to have someone tell you, you know what, you did a great trade and it just didn't work. And that's the reality of trading. I do that every day for my students. Every single day I'm in my live webinar. At the end of the day, I take people's questions, I walk through their trades, and I give, you know, people my feedback. And sometimes people get a gold star, and sometimes people get a lump of coal. But that support is really important. So that's something I can offer. What you need to bring is capital. You have to have money to trade. That's the reality, of course. You need discipline. You have to do the work, and you need to do the work. You have to put in the time to learn. Kind of like golf, you know, you practice and you practice, and you're on the driving range, and you're in the sand traps hitting balls, and you're putting, and you do all this practice. And then when you go out on the golf course, you really shouldn't be thinking much anymore. It should just be, you know what to do, you have a process, you've worked on everything in advance. And when the market opens, I know what to do every day. And my goal is to give my students that knowledge to know what to do and to make it happen. And it doesn't matter whether you are, you know, retired and you just want to manage your stock portfolio, and instead of earning 8% a year, you want to get 15% a year, because that has a dramatic effect on your retirement. Or maybe you want to be a day trader full time. You want to sit in front of your screen 4 days a week and buy and sell stocks all day. The concepts are very the same for both of those. But how you apply them just comes down to a different time frame. So the longer term investor looks at a weekly chart. The day trader looks at a 1 minute chart. But what I teach you to look for is what's important. But I just want to stress, if you don't want to listen to me, if you don't want to do the work, then don't take my courses. Don't learn from me, because you're wasting your money. You have to do the work. It's not a free ride. It gets easy eventually, but at the start, it's frustrating. And I like people to be frustrated, because that's how you learn. Sometimes I will give people a task, like a bit of homework, and I could just tell them the answer. You know, they ask me a question, I could tell them the answer, but I know that they're not going to be better by just getting my answers. So sometimes I say, this is what I want you to do, and it's going to be work, and it's going to require some effort. But when you're done it 2 hours later, you're going to know the concept way better than if I just told you the answer. So when I say I want people to be frustrated, that's what I mean. Okay. Next slide. Whoops. So let's talk about the Stockscores Education Center. I'm going to give you a little tour of all these things tonight. So the Stockscores Education Center is broken down into 3 sections. We have the foundation section, which is the theory behind what I do, how to analyze charts and that sort of thing. And then we have the investor and active trader sections, which are the strategies primarily, some little bit of tool stuff. So let's jump over to stockscores.com right here, and we're going to go to Trader Training Education Center. Actually, there's 4 areas. There's the free area as well. So the Getting Started area has some free videos on the basics of charting, on how Stockscores works, how the charting tools on Stockscores works, the market scanner. You can see all the topics there. That's all free. If I go to the foundation section, this is the theory. So when to exit, how to read a chart pattern, what are predictive chart patterns? And there's a written component. So I can go in here and I can learn what the 6 elements of chart patterns are. I'll give you the answer. It's support, resistance, optimism, pessimism, price volatility, and abnormal activity, all this stuff right here. And then I explain all those things. Now, some people like to read, some people like to listen. So there's a video. And in the video, just hit play, get some snazzy music in the background here, and there you can hear my voice as I teach that concept. In addition to the video, there's an assignment. So here is some tasks to do to practice what I've taught you in that video. And then finally, there is a little quiz, multiple choice, so that you can assess yourself to make sure you understand those concepts. All online, you can do it at your own pace. You can do it as often as you like. My students that took my courses 20 years ago can still have access to this stuff. It doesn't cost them anything extra. You pay once and it's always there. Shouldn't say always there because one day I'll die, I guess, but I hope that's a long ways away. And even if I died, it's still there actually. Then you have the investor section. Investor section is the strategies for investing. So for managing your retirement portfolio, for picking 10 stocks a year that you're going to hold and be in and out of and try to beat the market. We don't want to earn what the market earns. 8% is boring. We're trying to earn better because that has a huge effect on your long-term growth of your portfolio. So the whole thing here is strategies for doing that. So if I want to learn the bottom fishing strategy, I can click on the written lesson. I can print it out. It's a PDF as well. And then I can watch the video. Okay, so there's a video there. You'll notice the Stockscores simple ETF strategy doesn't have a video. It's just a written lesson. Most of them have videos though. So that's for investors. And then for active traders, day trading, swing trading, same thing. There's a written lesson and there's a video for most of them. All right, so that's an overview of the Education Center. And again, you have to be a member to access these things. So if you want to access the active trader content, you have to be an active trader member. And I'll explain what it takes to do that later on and also the other benefits. If you want to be in the investor section, you have to have done the investor membership. Okay, so this is where you get my knowledge, but you don't just get the knowledge, you also get the support from me. Okay, now we have tools because again, I don't want to use other people's tools. I built my own so that I can have an edge. So let's talk about the market scan first because that's the most important tool. So I go back to Stockscores, go to the market scan, and you see here on the screen that I have all these filters at my disposal. Okay, and you probably say, well, I don't know what any of those mean. There's a lesson on what these all mean, what they're for. But let's just keep it simple. Let's say I was an investor and I'm looking for stocks to buy for my retirement portfolio. So I might say I want stocks with a sentiment score greater than 60. So that's my Stockscores indicator, sentiment score. So I'm going to say that has to be more than 60. And I want stocks between $2 and $20. I want them to trade pretty good volume. So I'm going to say number of trades, at least 1,000 trades a day. Because I know abnormal activity is important, I'm going to say it has to have an abnormal day up. And I want it with abnormal volume. I could add more. I could add these studies here. I could add all kinds of things. I'm just going to leave it at that. Run the market scan. Went through the entire market and it found one. Maybe my things were too tight, too constrained. But then once I've done that, I can view the chart of those and see it all there. So here I can see TAK had an abnormal day to the upside today, abnormal volume, abnormal price. It's not really the kind of stock I'd want to buy here because it's been going up for a while already. It's a good stock to hold, but I'm not interested in buying it here. But that's how the scan works. So that's building your own scan. You don't have to build your own scan. You can use some of my presets. So I can go back to the market scan and I can select one of these presets. So one strategy is called the abnormal break strategy. And we have a Canadian version and a US version. So I'm going to run the US version. And there's the filters that have been activated in blue. I'm going to run the market scan. It found 26 stocks that meet the criteria of that strategy. So it went through every US stock market, New York, NASDAQ, Amex, OTC Bulletin Board, and it found the 26 stocks that meet the criteria of that strategy. But I'm not done yet. Now I need to look at the charts of those stocks to see which ones matter the most. So I'm going to go through a slideshow. Slideshow means I'm looking at one stock at a time. So here's the first one. You can see the abnormal price, the abnormal volume, but it's not the right kind of chart pattern. I teach you what the right kind of chart pattern is. I can also see that the stock scores aren't very good. So I'm not going to look at that one. Go to the next. Don't like that one. Go to the next. This one's not bad. This was actually a decent day trader today, but it traded big volume, abnormal price movement, breaking a downward trend line from a little bit of a rising bottom. Probably the stock is headed up to 90 cents. I would give that a 6 out of 10. I did that quickly, right? Once you practice this and once you know what I'll teach you, take some practice. When you start out, you'll look at a chart for 30 seconds to figure it out. Once you're good at it, look at a chart for 2 seconds and you'll know if it's good or bad. It just takes practice. So I looked at that and I immediately knew it was a 6 out of 10. Next one, that's a 5 out of 10. Next one, 5 out of 10. Next one, 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. You're probably wondering, why is it a 4 out of 10? Well, let me explain why. Let's go back to this one. This stock is in a downward trend. It's broken the downward trend line. That's a good thing. However, there's no rising bottom. It's only a single bottom. That's a bad thing. Volume was good, but not great. It's got a lot of people that own this stock at this price. Now imagine you bought the stock back in December. You paid $1.40. You've watched it go down to 60 cents. Today, it's at 120. What are most people thinking? I'm going to try to get out of this dog when it gets back to what I paid for it, $1.40. And that's why when you have periods where the stock is traded sideways at a higher price level, it becomes what we call resistance. It is a ceiling price on the stock. And so you don't want to buy stocks that have a lot of resistance unless they have really strong volume, because you got to work through all of these people that want to sell just to get out of the dog. So that's why it's not great. Okay, so one of the things I want to see are rising bottoms on the chart, because that's a sign of optimism. I want to see that it's above a downward trend line. Let's go back to this one. CDZI, this was also a decent day trader today, but its longer term chart is bad because there's all this resistance, there's all these people that own it at higher prices. It takes time to work through that. However, back here, it had broken its downward trend line. That's step 1 in a turnaround. It built a rising bottom. That's step 2. And it broke out from a rising bottom. That's step 3. That is my bottom fishing strategy. I just taught you a strategy for free. Buy here at 260. The stock went up very quickly to 480 in the course of a month. It gave a sell signal when it broke down from a falling top right there. So you have a high here, you have a falling top here, it broke down. And that was the cue to get out if you were a position trader. Buy at 260, sell at 420. On a percentage basis for 3 months, it's a pretty good return. But do I like it today? No. So let's just go through the rest of these. This one's a 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, but more of a hold. A hold, it's a 5 as a buy. It's a good hold though, if you're in it. Actually, let's go back to this one. Here's another pattern. There's a sideways trading range here. This is called a rectangle consolidation. It broke out of the rectangle consolidation there. Notice the volume spiked higher. Notice my Stockscores indicators spiked higher because I programmed the Stockscores indicators to look for abnormal volume, abnormal price, breaking through resistance from optimism. That told me that that stock was likely to go higher. On that day, it was a 6.5 out of 10. Why was it not a 7? 7 is about as good as I give. Sometimes I'll give an 8. The reason it wasn't a 7 is because it had a bit of a long tail on that breakout, which means that people were selling into the strength. But it was still pretty good. 65, when I say 6.5, I mean 65% chance it's going to go up. And it did go up. 1450, now 1750. No reason to sell. It's in a good upward trend, but I wouldn't buy it here. It'd be a chase. Next one. It's pretty good, but let me look at the 3-year weekly. So here you have sideways pattern, breaking out. Volume is okay, not great. Some resistance here, some resistance here. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. So what I'm showing you is this tool that is incredibly powerful and also very easy to use. If I want to change the time frame of my chart, let's say I look at that and I say, "Whoa, that stock looked like it had some action during the day today." Why not look at the 5-day chart? There's the 5-day chart. Very quickly, I can see how the move went through the day. If I want to see the 3-year weekly chart, just click on 3Y. Now I got the 3-year weekly chart. Which chart do you look at? Depends on which time frame you're trading. If you're a day trader, you look at the 1-minute chart and the daily chart, maybe the 13-minute chart. If you're a position trader, you look at the daily and the weekly. If you're a swing trader, you look at the 15 or the 13-minute chart. And so the reason I put these fast links at the top here is so that you can very quickly change the time frame. All right, so that's a little bit of how the market scan works. Now let's talk about some of the charting tools. So I can pull up any chart on Stockscores up in the top left, right up here. I just enter in the symbol. So Microsoft, MSFT. Now I've got a chart of Microsoft. This is a 240-day chart. It has the Stockscores indicators at the bottom. They're helpful for determining who's in control of the market. Are the buyers in control or are the sellers in control? In this case, the buyers are in control because we have rising bottoms. And you can see that the Stockscores indicators have been strong, and by strong I mean greater than 60, for a few months. What's been happening for a few months? Stock has been going up. If you want to learn more about the Stockscores indicators, just go into Trader Training, Education Center. Go down here, where is it? The Stockscores indicators right there. There's a video that explains it, how they work. Let's go back to Microsoft chart. So if I wanted to look at a 1-day chart, I can click on 1D. And if I want that to be a 2-minute chart, click on 2M. That's already 1 minute, 2 minute. If I click on 1M, it becomes a 1-minute chart. I can make it a 13-minute chart, 5-minute. A big part of what I teach is looking at charts in multiple time frames. And so I want to have the ability to quickly change things without having to open up drop-down menus and things like that. So that's why those are there like that. If I wanted to set my default chart to a 3-year weekly chart, that's what this is right now. If I want all the charts in the future to be 3-year weekly charts, because I'm an investor and I'm looking to buy stocks to hold for months, then I go down to the chart options tab and I turn this interval from daily to weekly, look back period from 8 months to 3 years, click on create chart, and now that's my default. So now if I pull up another stock like Shopify, it is now a weekly chart, 3 years back. If I pull up a smaller stock like BVAI, which is a AI company, it's now still a weekly chart. I can make it go to a 15-day chart, 13-minute if I want, but if I call up another stock like, I don't know, IBM, it's still a weekly chart. If I don't want it to be a weekly chart anymore, I go back to chart options, change it from weekly, say to daily, 3 years to 8 months, create chart. Now that's my new default. Okay, so that's a little lesson on how to use the charts. Some people like to draw on charts. Some people like to put more indicators on charts. So for that, we have interactive charts. I can click on this, and it brings up charts provided by TradingView. You can see our indicators are on there, which you don't get normally from TradingView. But now I can draw lines. So I don't ever use these actually. There's a little downward trend line that I've drawn. I think I can make it fatter if I want. There we go. I can add in indicators. I can mark up the chart, all kinds of stuff. I can move through. I can see what the price is on each day as I move through the chart. So for those who like to do a little more messing around with their charts and that sort of thing, there's interactive charts as well. I like to go through charts quick, so I tend to use the quick charts. That's what these are called. But both are available to you, and this is all free. You don't have to be a member to use these charts. Now the risk calculator is one of the tools for members. We have a number of them. But if I go into charts, under charts, risk calculator, I can figure out how my position should be sized. Let's say I'm buying a stock at $10 My stop loss is at $9, and I'm going to use a fixed dollar limit for risk. I'm going to say I'm willing to risk $500 on a trade. My commission is $10 per trade. Click submit, and it tells me I can buy 490 shares. Now, after I've done the trade, if I bought 490 shares, my entry price was $10, and I exited at $16.70, and my stop loss price was at $9, and my commission was $10. Click submit. It tells me what my reward for risk ratio was. You heard me talk about reward for risk ratio last night in the day trader lesson. Well, in this case, it's 1 to 6.7. In other words, for every dollar I risked, I made $6.70 in profit. That's what that ratio means. Okay, so that's the reward for risk calculator. It's useful for compiling your results, helping you come up with the position sizing. All right, now let's talk about Stockscores indicators for Tradestation. So Tradestation is a program that I have nothing to do with. I use it, but I don't have any financial interest in the company. It's a great program. I've been using it for a long time, like at least 20 years, maybe more. And it allows me to look at charts. Let me just jump into Tradestation here. So I can look at charts. Here is chart. Let's look at one of the stocks that was moving today. Actually, let's go SOUN. Why is this not coming up? Okay, so this is one of the stocks that we day traded today. You can see there's all these lines on here that are drawn by the computer. These lines that I have here are drawn based on something that I programmed into this software. It's not, it doesn't come with that. There's also some little dots. It's a little bit hard to see because I've got them too small, but there's a yellow dot there. There's a pink dot. Those dots have meaning. Those are my indicators. In this particular case, the resolution's kind of small, so you can't really see all that well. But those are all indicators that I've created for Tradestation. And that's the beauty of Tradestation, is it allows you to create your own indicators. Now, to do that requires knowing how to program. Tradestation uses something called Easy Language, which is great. I'm not a great programmer. In fact, I'm a lousy one. So I know enough about Tradestation to be able to tell a Tradestation programmer what to do, but then they have to program it for me. And that's something I've invested in over the years. I would write out the logic, the math, and then the programmer would build these indicators or these strategies for me, and I pay them. And I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars to have things programmed into Tradestation. The beauty of being my active trader student is I give you those indicators as part of the course fee. So instead of programming them yourself or paying someone to program them, you can get them as part of the active trader course from Stockscores. All right, so that's a little bit about Tradestation's charts. Now, Tradestation has another cool tool called radar screens. Kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet, but this is where we can do analysis on the price data of a stock. So what I've done is I've created strategies. So this one here is called the day trader strategy. And in real time, Tradestation will monitor all of the stocks on the US stock market for those that meet the criteria of my day trader strategy. I've got other strategies. We talked about these last night. I've got the hit and run strategy, the IPB strategy. There's all kinds of different ones. So the computer does most of the work for us. You see these numbers here in this, in this window right here, or this part of the window. Those are the reward for risk amounts. So if I click on CDZI, it should update it. There we go. So CDZI made a pretty good move today. And one of the entry signals today was, well, there was one right at the open, but there was another one later on right here. So buy there, it goes up for a while. The liquidity on this one wasn't great, but that's all automated by Tradestation. So it'll do most of the work for us. We just have to make the final judgment on whether we're going to take the trade or not. And we say no to most, by the way. So when you see all of these symbols here, most of these were not good enough. but there's through an entire trading day, there was 83 signals. You go through 83 and throughout the whole day, and you pick 3 or 4 that are actually good enough. Okay, so that's Tradestation. Now the screen that you see here is my active live layout. So I'll talk about active live in a minute, but just have a sense of this. No, Stockscores active live. So let's talk about that now. So active live is a service that I offer where you don't have to have Tradestation. You can just watch mine. So you would log in every day into a webinar, much like this one. And as the day progresses, you're going to see this screen update. All these windows will have things going on in them. And essentially, you're getting real-time analysis through my webinar, as well as some comments from me to start the day and end the day. And then through the day, it just gives alerts. And it's actually got voices. It's all automated. It'll say day trader alert, H&R alert, IPB alert. And when you hear that sound, then you go check like a Pavlovian dog, and you check the symbol to see if it has the right setup for us. All right, so that's a little bit about the Active Live. I'll explain more about Active Live in a minute. So the different courses that I offer. Investor course. This is meant for people who just want to buy and sell a few stocks a month, a year, don't want to be a day trader, don't want to be a swing trader. They want to just typically manage their retirement portfolio. So if that's your goal, then the investor course is the right one for you. It'll give you access to the foundation lessons, which is the theory in the Stockscores Education Center. It'll give you access to the investor strategies, the investor strategy market scans. Let me just show you those. So I'm going to jump back into Stockscores. We're going to go market scan, and I'm going to select any of these. All of these are the investor scans. So if I wanted to run the bottom fishing strategy on the Canadian market, click that, run the market scan. Found one stock today. Markets were pretty quiet today because of the long weekend. Now, if I wanted to learn that strategy, what the rules are, I go to Trader Training, Education Center, go down to the investor section, find bottom fishing, click on this, and I can read all about it. So they all connect to one another. So that's the investor course. You also get email support from me. My students, for usually the first couple of months that they're my students, they ask me questions because they're learning. Eventually, people get it figured out. They don't need to ask me a lot anymore. But I can provide that support myself to my students because I don't have a lot of students. Every time I do a class, like I'm doing a class in April here, I'm pretty busy for a couple months. And then, people don't need me as much anymore. But 5 years after you take the course, if you still need a question answered, I'm there to do it for you. You get 6 months access to the Stockscores tools. That's primarily the market scan. And then to keep your access up, your annual renewal fee is $300. By the way, that's Canadian dollars. I know we have people here from all over the place. That's in Canadian dollars. The process, if you are an investor, is you run a market scan, you check the charts. If you like the chart, you do your risk management and size your positions. You go and enter the trade through your broker. You monitor your trades using Stockscores. When you get an exit signal, you sell. And then it's a good idea to journal your trade so you can learn from your mistakes or your successes. The Active Trader course is everything I just told you. So foundation lesson, investor strategies, but also active trader strategies. So you're going to learn a whole other suite of strategies. If I go back to this education center, blow up active trader, here's all the active trader strategies. These are day and swing trade strategies. This is a swing, day trade, day trade, day trade, day trade, day trade, swing trade, and then the basics of using Tradestation and how to use Tradestation with my strategies. Okay, so what is there? 5 or 6 different strategies there, as well as how to exit. Not enough just to buy, we have to know when to sell. Email support from me again, 6 months access to the Stockscores tools, plus those real-time indicators for Tradestation. This alone is worth well over $10,000. If you were to write those, have those programmed yourself, it would cost you over that. Not to mention, you'd have to have the knowledge of what to do. So that's what I've done. That's probably worth another 10 grand. It makes you eligible for our active live service. So when you are an active trader member, you can subscribe on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, to our active live service, where I tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Well, not so much that. You're seeing the same indicators that I watch as I'm trading the day. I guide you through the first half an hour and the last half an hour. Every month I do some extended sessions. So today, for example, I did an extra hour of commentary through the trading day. That was between 9 and 10 Pacific time today. Some days I do it for 3 hours in a row. Some days I do it an hour here, an hour there. Just depends. I do a little bit of that every month. My goal with Active Live is to not tell you what to do. My goal is to teach you how to do it so that you don't need me anymore. I lead by example. Every day I make calls, I pick stocks, but my goal is not to tell you buy this, sell this, because then you're not on your own. You want to be able to do this on your own, so my goal is to teach you how to do it. That's what Active Live is all about. It's a great way to learn on the job. The active trader process, we start out by assessing the market factor. By that I mean, is the overall stock market helping us or is it hindering us? We then identify action candles or message candles on different strategies with our active live service or running Tradestation yourself. When we see one, we inspect the charts. If it has the right pattern set up, we do our risk management to calculate our position size. We enter through our broker. We monitor the trade. We exit the trade, and then we journal our trades so we learn from them. This process of identifying, inspecting charts, and doing your risk management, when you're day trading, that takes you 10 seconds. When you're investing, you can spend 2 hours doing that. The concepts are all the same. With active trading, you have to think quicker. With day trading, you should make your decision in 10 seconds. It's actually not that hard, but it takes practice. With swing trading, you can usually think about it for a minute or two. And with investing, position trading, you can pour yourself a glass of wine and watch a hockey game while you do it. That's not as time intensive or as time pressured. Now let's talk about Stockscores Active Live. This is my real-time webinar that runs every day, every trading day, where you can watch my analysis screen, the same one that I use to make my decisions. You can watch that run real-time algorithms, not algorithms you'll get anywhere else. You'll only get it from Stockscores because they're my own creation. And it'll allow you to monitor the market for day trades and for swing trades. We do swing as well. Real-time, live, all day long, automated instant trade signals. My computers do most of the work. I say I, but I don't do a lot. I just talk a little bit. Computers do most of the work. They find the trades, so you can focus on making the trades. Even for me, it's helpful because I've automated it all. I just have to watch that screen. It's all automated. I've got this software that runs that does all these processes for me every minute or two to identify opportunities. You could go out and build that yourself. It'd take you 5 years, thousands of dollars, lots of mistakes. You'd have to know a little bit about programming, some math, what to look for, which is a lot of trading knowledge. But you can get it as part of your Stockscores Active Trader membership. It's $245 a month if you are an active trader member. And with that, you get my support. Every day I answer questions for half an hour at the end of the day to help people learn and to show them the trades that came up that day. That's the best way to learn, just real-time, on-the-job training. But if you're not going to be a day trader, swing trader, you'll never use Active Live. It's not for anything more than day and swing trading. This is what the Active Live screen looks like. We talked about this last night, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But this is called a radar screen. It's giving me real-time signals. So my last signal here is at 3:02 in the afternoon. It was on this stock. It tells you your position size, how much capital it takes, all that stuff. Now the mentorship is basically the active trader course. So it includes the investor, it includes the active trader course, but you just get me teaching it to you personally over the course of 14 one-hour classes, which start May 2nd. So if you want me to walk you through the material, and we'll go a little deeper into it, then the mentorship course is a great way to learn. It's quicker, you have my support through it, costs an extra $2,000. Do you have to do it? The knowledge is the same as what's in the active trader course. The difference is that I'm going to hold your hand through it, and we do go a little deeper into some things, but I think more than anything is it stops you from procrastinating. I'm going to make you learn it as long as you're in my meetings every week. And even if you miss the meeting, it's all recorded. So typically they're Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6 o'clock Pacific time. But if you miss one, you can watch the video the next day. I record everything, and you have that library of videos that you can use forever. I'm going to walk you through the strategies, the processes, the importance of capital preservation, emotional control. You get a free month of Active Live with the mentorship. It's really great for those who have the aspiration of making a living trading the stock market. So here's a little bit of feedback. I'm not going to read through this, but I will do this. Tonight's webinar is also being recorded as a video. So if you want to read this later, you can just watch the video and pause it. But I don't want this to take forever. I just wanted to share some comments from some of my active or mentorship students. So I start some live training. This is not the mentorship. This is just the live training that you're going to get for free if you take the investor or the active trader course. So whether you take the investor or the active trader course, you're going to get the overview classes Tuesday, April 18th, so in a couple of weeks, 6 p.m. This will be an hour and a half. And then the following night, we're going to do another hour and a half on April 19th. And I'll walk you through the theory. And then you're going to have a few days off to let it all soak in. The following Tuesday, April 25th, we're going to run investor market scans. So we're going to actually scan the market and look for opportunity. And I'm going to show you how to read charts with real examples of that day. And we'll try to pick some stocks. Most of the time I find something to buy. I've had people pay for their course from one of the picks I made during these classes. I don't want to promise that that's going to happen. I don't control what kind of a day it's going to be, but we're going to do that 3 days in a row. Run scans, practicing. Okay, so that's if you're an investor or an active trader member. If you're an active trader member, you also get a free month of Active Live. You can use it anytime, but you have to use it on the calendar month. So let's say you want to use it in May. You send me an email at the end of April, say I want to use my free month, and I will send you the link for the month of May. You can't do it like you can't join in the middle of the month. I mean, you can, but you missed the first 2 weeks. So you want to sort of plan to do it for a whole month. So the whole month of May, the whole month of June, whatever. All of the classes in April, all of these classes are recorded. The active trader sessions aren't recorded. You can record them on your side if you want. I do record a few lessons from Active Trader, Active Live every month, usually 3 to 5. So I try to give a little bit of education and make some videos out of it. But it's not really practical to record the whole trading day. It's a 6.5 hour day, so it doesn't make any sense. So the special offer for anyone in registering for the investor or active trader courses before Friday, April 14th at 11 p.m. will get the overview classes and the investor market scanning for free. I have a little bonus I'm going to tell you about in a minute. Overview classes, again, those are the dates. If you can't make one or both, they're recorded. You'll get a video emailed to you afterward. It's better to attend live because then you can ask questions. Then the following week, we're going to do the market scanning. If you're an active trader member, you get a free month of Active Live. If you're a mentorship member, you get a free month of Active Live. Cost. This is Canadian dollars, $2,995 for investor, $3,995 for active trader. $5,995 for mentorship. That's not even one semester in university. But I will teach you everything you need to know to manage your own money, to trade the market, whether you day trade or swing trader, just want to invest your money. It's pretty reasonable when you compare it to, my daughter's in university right now. This is cheap. But it gets even better, because if you act before April 14th, I'm going to give you a $500 discount with these codes. These codes expire April 14th, so they won't work after then. So if you want to save $500 off the investor course, type in this code at checkout, 500 ITA 23. So the way you do that is you go to Stockscores, you go to Trader Training, learn how to trade. If I want to do the Active Trader course, order Active Trader, click, and then you enter in the code. I've already done this. I did this the other night. So I would enter in 500 ATA 23, apply discount. It's already done it. $500 discount on that class. You'll see here it says 300 yearly. That doesn't start until 6 months after, and you don't have to do that. If you want to cancel that, certainly you can do that easily. But that's your annual fee to keep your access to the tools. Okay, if you wanted to buy the investor course, you can do it that way as well. Just choose the investor course. Now let's say you bought the investor course 3 years ago and you want to upgrade to the Active Trader course. You can do that from the Education Center. So you go into the Education Center and there will be a link where you can see the upgrade. Now it doesn't do that for me because I have access to everything, but normally there'll be a link here. If you want to upgrade from the Active Trader course, again, you did it 2 years ago and you want to do the mentorship course, you log into Stockscores.com and you go to Trader Training, upcoming events, go down to the bottom of the page, and here you can see the mentorship course right here. And you just click register online. You have to already be an Active Trader member. This is the prerequisite right here. If you're not an Active Trader member, you can register for that, log out of the website, log back in, and then it will allow you to register for this. But it will not allow you to register for the mentorship unless you're logged in as an Active Trader member. Now, if you have questions about any of this stuff, you can email me. I'll give you my email address in a moment. Here's a few more recent comments from the last few months. I've got lots of them. I was looking at this file. I keep a file on my computer of all the compliments and things like that. I've got 877 emails that I've received over the years from my students telling me nice things. And I keep them all. These are just a couple of, or 3 recent ones. So I'm going to just launch a poll, and if you've been for my other webinars, you've probably seen this poll already. If you've already answered this poll, you do not need to answer it again. I'm going to leave this up for a minute. If you would like a follow-up email from me with a little bit more information about the course, just say yes to this and which course you're interested in. If you don't want me to bug you, just say no and I won't send you an email. Question, I've already subscribed to the Active Trader level and taken the course. Can I participate in the April sessions, April 18th to 27th? Yes, you can. The retake fee is $195. I don't think I have it set up. Let me just see if it's, yeah, I'm gonna have to set it up on the, I'll do that, and I'm gonna email out the link to all of my current members for those who want to redo that live session in April. In a day trading scenario, if a stock falls out of the upward trend line, you get stopped out, but then it re-enters the channel, do you reopen the trade? Probably not. No. I'll buy a stock back that I've been stopped out on only if there's a valid new entry signal. And simply going back into the channel is not a valid signal. In fact, falling out of the channel is not necessarily a sell signal either. And second question, is April seasonally better than May in terms of Active Trader Live? I would say they're pretty similar, April and May, because both are earnings months. June is not an earnings month, so you tend to get a bit of a slowdown the 3rd month of the quarter. So April and May are good months. June is a bit slower. July and August are slow too, but you often get a summer rally. We had a good rally last year, late July into August, and it was quite lucrative. September is a bit slower month. September is actually the worst month of the year for the stock market. A lot of people think October is, but it's actually September. The second worst month of the year is February, historically. Okay, so I'll turn off this poll and we'll get back to finishing up here. So why would you want to have me teach you this? Simply put, mistakes cost you time and money. I've done this for over 30 years. I've taught people for over 20. I'm a good trader, I'm a good teacher, and I can guarantee you that it will cost you less to take my course than to figure it out on your own. Anyone can make money in a hot market. In 2021, making money was easy. Making money in 2023 is harder because you don't have that strong upward trend. And so I'll teach you how to do well in a bad market. I'll teach you how to really pull a lot of profit out of a good market. I had more than one student email me during the COVID rally after the crash. So say in 2020, 2021, I had numerous students making six figures in a month. I think there was a comment here, a guy made $450,000 through that boom, in their retirement account. So you can do it, but you need the knowledge. You can get it somewhere else. You can figure it out on your own, or you can buy it from me for a pretty reasonable cost. Because I only teach a small number of students, I don't have an interest in Stockscores being a big company. It's my sideline, and I enjoy teaching. I enjoy making tools. I enjoy developing strategies. That's why I do it. But I don't want to do it for 1,000 people. I do it for 100 people a year, approximately. I've done it for a long time. I've done it for big brokerages. I've done it for institutions, but mostly I help normal mom and pop retail traders. The cost of education that I offer is lower than other careers. My daughter is in university taking, I have no idea what, but it'd probably give her a job at Starbucks, and it costs 10 grand a year. So this is real training that you can use to do well in the market. By the way, my daughter has taken my course as well, and she has quite an interest in the market, but she wants to get a degree. So I shouldn't make it sound like she's wasting her time, because I think there is value in going to university, but this is more vocational training, what I'm offering. To me, it's all about finding freedom. As I said the other night, I've traveled all over the world. I think I've been to 45 different countries. I lived in Maui on the beach. I've lived in Whistler where I had mountain bikes, and I couldn't have done any of that without trading and without the freedom that comes from trading. I want to make it easy. I want you to prosper. You got to listen to me. You got to ask questions when you're having problems. No one cares more about your money than you. So take charge, and I'll help you get there. But if you think it's going to be, Tyler's going to tell me 5 things over an hour and I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow, don't waste your time. It takes work. It's like anything else. If you want to get fit, you go to the gym. If you want to, have aerobic fitness, you run. And you run and run and run. The first day it hurts, and the second week it's not so bad, and after a while you can run a marathon. So trading is no different than anything else. Some people go to law school for 3 years, and they become lawyers, and they work hard for 10 years before they make any real money. In trading, you can shorten that time frame and get to really significant income, but you got to do the work. So I just want to emphasize that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. I will teach you how to do it quicker. It took me 8 years. It shouldn't take you that long. It's all about avoiding pain and pursuing profit. So the registration process for the active trader and investor courses, you go to that area on the website that I showed you, you log in and purchase the course. You'll have immediate access. So you can start studying right away. The sooner you do it, the sooner you can start studying, so you can be prepared for our classes on April 18th and 19th. So if you leave it till the day before, well, you have to do it before the 14th, otherwise you don't get the discount. But leaving it to the last minute just means you have less time to get prepared for those classes. Every year people sign up the last minute. There's no problem with it, but it's better if you do it sooner. For the mentorship, Once you have purchased the Active Trader course, log out of the website, then log back in, go to the upcoming events page, and you can sign up for the mentorship there. But you have to first be an Active Trader student. There's the page you can go to register. There's the deadline. There's my email address. And I will check some questions here. So next question. How much do you suggest to start trading with? So I assume you mean day trading. And you're going to probably not like this answer, but I suggest you start with $0 because you have to learn first. So I don't care if you have $10 million to put in the market, start with 0. Practice on paper and learn slowly. Now, once you're on paper, you've made 1,000 paper dollars. Now you can start trading with $50 of risk. That means probably $5,000 of capital. And you trade with $50 of risk and you make $500 after 2 weeks, let's say. Now you can increase your risk to $100 of risk per trade. And when you make $1,000 at that level, increase your risk to $200. Now you probably need more like $20,000. If you're trading $2,000 or $200 of risk, you're going to need more like 20 grand at least to trade that risk level. So the amount of capital you trade with depends upon your risk level. If you have $1 million, you might be willing to take $5,000 of risk per trade. But should you start there? Absolutely not. You should start at the bottom, practice, learn, practice, gain confidence, get success, and increase your risk slowly. As I said last night, number one goal, capital preservation. Okay, I'm just trying to read some of these questions. So I think I got them all. A few funny comments. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. If you do have any other questions, there's my email address. I don't do high pressure sales. I don't care. You know, every year I have 100 students. Whether you take my course or not, I'm not into pressuring people. So I'd love you to take it. I think you'll do well with it. I think it's important for everyone to have this knowledge, but it's not my style to do high pressure sales. So if you have a question, you want to understand if it's good for you, I'll give you my honest answer. I'll probably ask you a few questions and I'll try to help you with picking the right course or whether it's even right for you or not. All right, so I want to end it there. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. I will put this webinar up as a video. If you're watching this as a video, I hope you've enjoyed it. Click on the like button, subscribe to the channel on Stockscores YouTube channel, and hope to see you April 18th as students. Thank you everyone. Have a great night.